Hello everyone and welcome to today's tutorial video. My name is Nikki and I'm an IELTS writing tutor with a record of achieving a band 8 and 8.5 in the IELTS writing exam in 2 consecutive attempts. Having mastered the art of IELTS writing, on this channel I'm going to be sharing with you how you can ace your IELTS writing exam in just one sitting. You'll learn how to study practice samples correctly, how to use certain English words and phrases in your writing to achieve a higher band score, and we'll also be looking at a lot of practice samples for both tax 1 and tax 2 section of the writing so that you can get ready for your exam. If you follow everything I'll be teaching you on this channel, you are assured of a minimum of 7.5 in your IELTS writing exam. So without further ado, let's get right into today's video. Today we are going to be looking at our first essay type, which is the double question essay. In my previous tutorial video on this channel, we looked at the introduction to IELTS writing, where we talked about the 5 types of essay. We looked at the writing structure, where we talked about the number of paragraphs your essay is expected to have and what each paragraph should represent. We also looked at how to write great introduction. We looked at the general approach to writing, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and conclusion. We also looked at IELTS language, where we talked about the introduction starters, we talked about the body paragraph starters, we looked at conclusion starters, we looked at collocations, and we also talked about sentence linkers. And in conclusion of the last video, we also talked about the things to avoid in your IELTS writing, right? So if you have not watched the previous video on this channel, please go ahead and watch it so that you have a foundational understanding about IELTS writing task 2. You know what is expected of you and the things to avoid, right? So now let's dive right into today's video. So we are going to be looking at the double question essay. The double question essay is one of the 5 types of essay you may come across in your IELTS writing exam or while studying practice samples. So what exactly is a double question essay? Just as the name implies, okay, a double question essay is any essay asking 2 different questions, right? So you are asked 2 questions and you have to answer both questions in your essay before you can say that you have done justice to that question. Now, a double question essay can be presented in 3 forms, which means that the 2 questions you are going to get can come in 3 forms. So your double question essay can come in form of a question and answer. It can come in form of problems and solution, where you are told to probably mention some problems associated with a particular situation and then provide solution to those problems, right? It can also come in form of causes and effects, right? So we are going to be looking at instances where we can have each of these question types so that we have a clearer understanding of what I'm talking about. So our first question here says that more people are choosing to work remotely instead of in offices. Why is this happening? Is this a positive or negative development? Right, so you can see that from this question that we have here, we have 2 questions to answer. The first part is that why is this happening? And then the second one is this is a positive or negative development. So this is an example of a double question essay, but then we can further classify it as a question and answer double question essay type. I hope you get it. So this falls under the question and answer category. And why is that? If you look at the first part of the question, it says, why is this happening? You are asked the question directly, right? Then the second part says, is this a positive or negative development? So you have to give your opinion and then you answer. The question is being directed to you. Is this a positive or negative development? You have to give an answer to that, right? So we classify this as what? As a question and answer question. Now let's take a look at problem and solution instance. So here we have, in many countries, the number of young people who are unemployed has increased significantly. What problems does this cause? What solutions can be implemented to address this issue? Right, so the first part says, what problems does this cause? So you are stating the problems. What solutions can be implemented to address this issue? So you are stating solutions. So this falls under the problem and solution category. Right, now breaking down double question essay into these different classes makes it easier to approach and understand, because candidates often perceive it as being very complex. But then when we break it down into these different categories, it makes it very easy. Right, now let's look at the third instance. In recent years, there has been a rise in the number of obese children around the world. What are the causes of this? What effects does this have on individuals and society? So you can see that here, first question says, what are the causes of this? So you have to state the causes of what? Of obesity, the observed situation, which is obesity in children. Then what effects does this have on individuals and society? So here you are talking about what? Cause and effect. So those are the three major classes of the double question essay. However, your double question essay can still come in other forms, right? So the examiner can decide to, IELTS can decide to play around with questions. And what do I mean? You can have a cause and solution question, which is something that we also get often, right? So rather than having a cause and effect question, you can have a cause and solution question, right? I hope we get that. So the important thing is for you to read your question through and understand what you are actually expected to do in your answer. Okay, so you read your question, you understand what is expected of you, right? Let's look at an instance where we can have cause and solution question. In recent years, there has been a rise in the number of obese children around the world. What are the causes of this? What solutions can be implemented to address this issue? Now you can see that here, rather than having a cause and effect question, we now have what? A cause and solution question, right? So this is another form in which the question comes often, most times in your IELTS questions, right? So now let's go into our first practice question for today. Now our first question for today says, people's lives are becoming increasingly stressful nowadays, and there are many reasons behind this. Many people relate this to technological advancements, while others say that high cost of living and competitions are the main reasons for this stressful life we have. In your opinion, what are the reasons behind this? What can be done to solve this problem? So how do we approach this question? Let's quickly look at the general approach to tackling this question. So the first thing you have to do is to identify and classify your essay type correctly. You identify the type of question that is presented to you. So basically, if you look at this question, we can see that in the concluding part, we are asked two questions. Okay, therefore we can conclude that this question is a double question essay, right? Now, with an understanding that double question essay can be presented in different forms, we go ahead and try to classify this into which form it belongs to, right? So here, the first one says, what are the reasons behind this? Reasons, we are talking about what causes, right? What could have caused this situation, right? So that is what, the first part is what? Cause, right? Then what can be done to solve this problem? So we have to look at what? Solutions to the problem, right? And what is the problem? The problem of stress, right? So this is what? A cause and solution question. Like I said earlier, that sometimes they can be interchanged, right? Rather than having a cause and effect question, you can get what? A cause and solution question, right? Rather than having a problem and solution question, you can get a cause and solution question. That's why I decided to start with this. So here you can see that what we have here is what is a cause and solution, because you are in the first question you are asked to state what the reasons behind this, what could have caused the situation, right? So now that we are done identifying and classifying our essay type correctly, the next thing we have to do is to identify keywords and prefer synonyms to those keywords. So you quickly read through your question, and then you identify keywords, words that stand out to you, and then you prefer synonyms to them. Reading through this, there are some certain words that stand out. Okay, for instance, increasing. And what are synonyms to increasing? Synonyms of increasing, we can use rising and use growing, right? Then another word that also stands out is what is nowadays, right? You don't want to repeat nowadays while you are paraphrasing your introduction. So instead of nowadays, you can use in recent times, right? Or in modern society, right? In modern world, in today's world. But then while preferring synonyms to your question, you have to ensure that you use words that are very similar in meaning and fit the context of your question properly. Okay, so that you do not insinuate what is not being said. For instance, instead of writing nowadays, okay, if you decide to use in recent decades, right? In recent decades sounds a bit far from nowadays. I hope you get that. So the best thing to use here is either in recent times or in today's world. So it's better to play safe, right? Now another word that stands out here again is let's say reasons. Instead of reasons, you can replace it with causes, right? And then we also have relate. Many people relate this. Okay, what's another word we can use to replace relate? Many people attribute this to technological advancement. You can say development, right? While others say that high cost of living are the main reason for this stressful life we have, right? So those are our topic sentence, and then we have preferred synonyms to our best understanding, right? So as we progress along in answering our question, then we might have more occasion to prefer synonyms to certain words, so that we can tell our examiner that we have a wide vocabulary range, right? But for now, this is what is good enough, right? So let's move ahead to the next thing we have to do. So after identifying your keywords and preferring synonyms to them, the next thing you do is to write your introduction. And to write your introduction, there are three basic things you do. You rephrase your questions sentence by sentence. You add collocations where applicable, and you can use introduction starters where applicable. If you don't know what collocations and introduction starters is, please go ahead and watch the previous video on this channel. Then the next thing you do is to write your body paragraph 1, and your body paragraph 1 would focus on what? Answering the first question. Don't forget that for your essay types you have 2 body paragraphs, and in this double question essay you have 2 questions, right? So the first body paragraph will focus on answering the first question, while your second body paragraph will focus on answering the second question. You do not mix up both ideas. You don't talk about cause and effect in body paragraph 1, then go ahead and talk about cause and effect in body paragraph 2 too. No. Okay, that can literally leave your examiner confused, and then it is not a proper structure, right? So then after doing that, the next thing you do is to write your conclusion, right? Now, I forgot to mention this earlier. While writing your introduction for your double question essay, you must address both questions that you are given, right? You must answer both questions briefly in your introduction. You are not to answer one and leave the other one out. You have to address both of them briefly. This tells your examiner that you understand that the question presented to you is a double question essay. In the conclusion of your essay, okay, what you're expected to do is to summarize your body paragraph 1 and your body paragraph 2, right? To summarize the points in your body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. You are not to add a new idea. You are not to introduce a new idea that you did not mention in your body paragraphs, right? So with all that being said, let's now apply it to answering this question presented before us. So let's go ahead and write our introduction. Do not forget that you are going to paraphrase your introduction sentence by sentence. So let's look at the first sentence that we have here. People's lives have become increasingly stressful nowadays, and there are many reasons behind this. So how do you paraphrase this? Don't forget that while paraphrasing, your goal is not to change every word in the sentence, right? Because it is more important for you to retain the main idea of your sentence. Okay, so your goal is not to change every word. Your goal is to ensure that you are not returning the question back to the examiner the same way it was presented to you. Okay, so basically to do this, we can easily say, don't forget that we say nowadays the synonym we have for that is what? In recent times. So I can easily interchange this and say in recent times people's lives have become increasingly stressful. In recent times, people's lives have become increasingly stressful. So I have summarized that first sentence because that is the main idea of the first sentence, that people's lives are becoming stressful nowadays, and there are many reasons behind this. Here, I am not going to include that concluding part of the sentence, and there are many reasons behind this. I'm not going to include it in my answer because I'm still going to talk about the reasons behind this in my subsequent sentences, right? So now what I can do, instead of adding that and many reasons, and there are many reasons behind this, what I can do is to look for a suitable collocation and add it here. Okay, so I am going to say that, and this has sparked considerable public concern. So my sentence now becomes, in recent times people's lives have become increasingly stressful, and this has sparked considerable public concern. You can see that I did not change so much word in our topic sentence, right? However, I did not return the question to the examiner the same way it was presented to me. I have obviously transformed the question, right? That's why I said that collocations are very useful and will always come in handy in your essay. Now let's move to the second sentence. Many people relate this to technological advancement, while others say that high cost of living and competitions are the main reasons for this stressful life we have. Right? Now, one thing I want you to know is that in IELTS essays, most times you would be given opinion of two groups of people. Some people are of the opinion that the government should take responsibility, while others say that individuals are more responsible. You will always be given opinion of two groups of people in most cases. So how do you address that? You have to use the word while. This is where some certain words come in. While, okay, while some people attribute this problem, while some people believe that so, others are of the opinion that. So when you are comparing in perspective of two group of people, the word while will always come in handy. Please, I want you to take note of that. So let's look at how I paraphrase the second sentence. While some people attribute this problem to technological advancements, others believe that rising living costs and intense competition are the primary causes. You can see that the main idea is still being retained, and yet I did not return the question back to the examiner the same way it was presented to me. I wasn't after changing every single word in my sentence. That is not the goal. You can keep it simple. You can save yourself stress. Okay, use the words as much as possible, but just make sure that you change some certain things there. Right? Now let's move to the final sentence. In your opinion, what are the reasons behind this? What can be done to solve this problem? So here we have our main question, right? And it says that in your opinion. So definitely you're going to start that sentence when you want to answer it with what? In my opinion, because you are asked in your opinion. Right, so you start with in my opinion, both factors, right, contribute significantly to stress. So you are basically answering. Don't forget I said that in your introduction you have to address both questions. We don't ignore those questions. I just move on to paragraph 1, to body paragraph 1. Right, so you see, okay, so from the question you are asked, in your opinion, what are the reasons behind it? So it's just like you're having a conversation with somebody, and the person is asking you, in your opinion, what are the reasons behind this? And you go, in my opinion, both factors contribute significantly to stress, because group A says technological advancement, group B says high cost of living and competition. So the person is now presenting the situation to you and saying that in your opinion, what are the reasons? You can say, in my opinion, I agree with both sides, that both sides contribute significantly to stress. Now in this case, you have to take note that you are not to support one side over the other. You're not to agree with one side and disagree with another. No, this is not an argumentative essay. And then you are certainly not required to present your own new idea, right? Because they are going to present you with rich ideas. So you're not to come up with your own ideas and say, in my opinion, I believe that bad government is the main reason for stress. No. Or corruption is the main reason for stress. No, that is not what is being required of you. Okay, so basically you can just save yourself stress by just saying, in my opinion, I agree with both sides. Both factors contribute significantly to stress. And so that hand is the introduction to you answering the second part of the question. And what can be done to solve this problem? Several measures can be taken to address this problem. Simple, perfect. So you can see that we changed solved here to what? To address. Okay, there are some words that were not exactly repeated, right? And then you are done with your introduction, right? Now let's move on to body paragraph 1. Now before we move on to body paragraph 1, you will notice that I highlighted some words. These are words that I want you to take note of. Okay, I want you to take note of them. They'll be very useful in answering your IELTS questions. Okay, it might not just be for this essay, it might be for other essays that you will come across. Okay, so just take note of those words and study them. Now let's move to body paragraph 1. So like I said earlier, that body paragraph 1 would answer the first question, which is, what are the reasons behind this? Now don't forget that from our question we have actually been given reasons, right? We have been given the ideas, we have been given suggestions of what people think are the reasons behind it. So here you're not coming up with new ideas, right? So you are just to use those ideas. So those ideas will be your topic sentence. So we go, one major reason for the growing stress level is the rapid development of technology. Now let's say that you were not given people's opinion, or you want to come up with your own idea, then your idea will be the topic sentence. Okay, one major reason for the growing stress level is the continuous corruption of government's body in the country. If that is going to be your idea, do you get what I'm trying to say? But because we have been given an idea already, so we have to use those ideas. So one major reason for the growing stress level is the rapid development of technology. That's our topic sentence. Then what do? You expand on it. This is your topic sentence. Then the second sentence will be what? Your supporting sentence. Don't forget that your body will have a topic sentence, a supporting sentence, and an example, right? Now our supporting sentence, you are basically what? Expanding on your topic idea. Mobile phones, emails, and social media have made people constantly reachable, blurring the boundary between work and personal life. That is your supporting sentence. Now, for instance, many individuals feel pressured to respond to messages or complete tasks even outside working hours due to availability of work tools that make them easily accessible even outside work hours. So you can see that we have a topic sentence, a supporting sentence, and an example. So we are done addressing the opinion of the first group of people. Don't forget that we have what? Two sides. Okay, we have two factors to talk about. So we have just spoken on the first factor. So we have to continue the second factor, which is the high cost of living and competition. And you must address both points in your body paragraph 1. Don't say, okay, because I also want to talk about another idea, then I have to put that in body paragraph 2. No. Okay, body paragraph 1 is strictly to answer your first question. Okay, so the onus now lies on you to regulate your word count and make sure that you keep your writing as minimal as possible. Okay, now to start the second part, you say another important course. You started the first sentence with one major reason. Then another important cause is the high cost of living and increased competition. That's the topic sentence for the second idea. So we go to the supporting sentence because we need to expand on it, right? Expanding on it simply means that you're explaining what you mean to the examiner. So we have rising expenses related to housing, education, and healthcare place financial strain on individuals and families, while intense competition in the workplace forces people to work longer hours to secure their jobs or achieve career development. So you can see that there we have stated our topic sentence and also our supporting sentence, and we skipped example, right? Because in your body paragraph 1, you're only expected to have one example. You don't have that luxury of what counts to, to add 2 examples. And in most cases, once you have example in body paragraph 1, you don't need to include it in body paragraph 2, right? Except, fine, you might go ahead and include it if you wish, if your word count will still permit it, right? But then in body paragraph 1, one example is enough. So let's move to body paragraph 2, where we are going to be answering the question, what can be done to solve this problem, right? So to start a body paragraph 2, you can say to solve this problem, to address this problem, or you can go ahead to be specific and say to reduce stress, because you know what the problem is, right? So that is more advanced. When you say to reduce stress, you are telling your examiner that I actually know, you are thinking ahead. Yes, you can say to reduce stress, both individuals and institutions must take action. Now, whatever solution you are preferring here must speak to the problems you listed in body paragraph 1. They must address the problems you listed in body paragraph 1. But you're not going to prefer solutions that does not address the problem in body paragraph 1. So to reduce stress, both individuals and institutions must take action. On a personal level, now that's your topic sentence, right? Now you're not explaining what you mean. What is the role of individuals and what is the role of institutions? On a personal level, people should learn to manage their time effectively and set clear boundaries between work and rest. Now this is speaking to the fact that the boundary between work and personal life has a blood, which was mentioned in paragraph 1. I hope you get that. So on a personal level, you can say individuals should learn, instead of people, on a personal level, individuals should learn to manage their time effectively and set clear boundaries between work and rest. Limiting screen time and engaging in physical activities or hobbies can also help improve mental well-being. Here you can see that after that again there was still more, another sentence to still further expand, right? You can decide to skip this and you can decide to include it in your essay if your word count permits. Now we move to the second part, which is what the institution, the actions that the institutions must take, and then we start that by saying that what at a broader level, government and employers can play a vital role by promoting flexible working arrangements, offering mental health support, and implementing policies that reduce financial pressure, such as affordable housing schemes or fair wage regulations, right? So you can see that the solutions listed here effectively address all the reasons that were mentioned in body paragraph 1. And you can also see that each paragraph focused on answering a specific question, right? So now let's move to our conclusion. We also have conclusion starters, which we mentioned in our previous video. For your conclusion, you can start with in conclusion, to conclude, or conclusively. So here I decided to go with in conclusion, and I said that to write your conclusion, you simply need to restate your points, right? Summarize body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. So let's go ahead. In conclusion, modern stress is largely caused by technological pressure and rising living costs combined with intense competition. Now another easy technique to actually know what to write in your conclusion is simply, just the same way your introduction, the concluding part of your introduction is you answering, in your opinion, what are the reasons behind this? And then you said, in my opinion, both factors contribute to it. Okay, what can be done to solve this? And then you said several measures can be taken to address this problem, right? In your introduction, you can also use that approach to your conclusion. Now let's go ahead. In your opinion, what are the reasons behind this? You know that in your introduction, you only summarize the point. You didn't actually expand on it. You just said that both factors. You didn't actually state those factors, right? And then in your conclusion, in your introduction, you also said several measures. You didn't actually state those measures. But then your conclusion is now when you expand, when you actually say what you meant. Okay, so to write your conclusion so that you don't have to cram it, right? You are simply answering those 2 questions again, but then you're now answering them in detail. Let's go ahead. In your opinion, what are the reasons behind this? Then you say, in conclusion, stress is largely caused by technological pressure, rising living costs, and fierce competition. Now the second part says, what can be done to solve this problem? Then you now start with something like, however, However, which is your starter, and you're asked what can be done to solve this problem. However, with proper management, healthier lifestyles, and supporting workplace and government policies, these problems can be effectively addressed. I hope you see that. So you do not need to go ahead and cram your conclusion. Just know that, okay, to write your conclusion, go back to the actual questions. What are you asking? Your opinion. What are the reasons behind this? In my opinion, modern stress is largely caused by. You state your reasons. Then you go back. Okay, what can be done to solve this problem? Then you start with you write your starter first. However, with proper time management, healthier lifestyle, and supporting workplace policies, this problem can be effectively addressed. And you can say that you have done justice to answering the question without cramming anything, right? So that will be all for the practice sample 1. Please go ahead and study those words that I highlighted. Okay, they are lifesavers, you will need them. Go ahead and study the whole essay itself. Notice the use of punctuations, notice the use of vocabularies, notice the use of phrases, okay, for them in detail, right? I'm also going to be highlighting some words and phrases that you need to take note of to help you to make your study easier, right? Okay, so I'm going to be dropping another practice sample under this course and solution form. Okay, so I want you to study that at home. I'm going to drop in the question and the answer, and I'm also going to be highlighting the things you need to take note of. So do that as your take-home assignment, study them, and that will be the end of today's video. The next video we are going to be looking at other forms of our double question, which is the cause and effect, the question and answer, and we're also going to be looking at problem and solution. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for sticking around until now. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on subsequent tutorial videos on this channel. Also give this video a thumbs up if it has been helpful to you. Share it to friends and families that are also preparing for the IELTS exams, and I wish you success as you prepare for your IELTS writing exam. Bye.